Hello, hi, it is Jo here again with another installment, and I have a previous video on grief and boundaries and why it's so important. In this video, I'm going to discuss a bit more about boundaries and also why they're important and how to actually set them. I'm going to look here at 5 key different types of boundary setting. Okay, so the first one is emotional boundaries, whereby people ask you questions that are inappropriate, emotionally dump on you. You're already going through a really hard time, and maybe your sister or your colleague will just phone you up and dump all their problems on you, and really you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. People really need to respect that and not use you as an emotional cushion, especially if you were a really empathic person before, the problem solver, the go-to person. You're not that person anymore. You're taking care of yourself first and foremost, and people need to know that that is not an option right now. Another thing in the emotional side is people rejecting your feelings. So for example, people not honoring how you're saying that you're feeling, people telling you to get up, get on, get over it, people not understanding the nuances or the complexities of what you're feeling, people not understanding the duality of what you're feeling. You can have two opposing feelings at the same time, and people just not really being able to understand that, or you coming to them with your feelings and then rejecting it or dismissing it. So boundaries need to be set around that. The second type of boundaries is around materials, so possessions, things. What you'll find is that people will ask you for belongings, things that you don't necessarily want to give away, or maybe you just aren't ready. I do advocate for giving your belongings or your partner's belongings a new lease of life and breathing energy into them and giving them to people, but only when the time is right for you and not a second before it. So if you have a clear boundary around that, you won't then feel resentful if you do something that you weren't actually ready to do. The next boundary that we are going to look at is around time and energy. If you're grieving, you will know that one of the huge symptoms is that you have a real lack of energy and a real lack of motivation. Things seem a lot harder than what they used to seem. So if you do make plans with somebody, it is important that they show up on time, that they don't do a no-show, that they don't change at the last minute, because plans can cause you anxiety where they didn't before. Sometimes you're not wanting to maybe go out in public and you're forcing yourself to. Therefore, people need to stick to the time, stick to the plan, and you need to let them know that it's really important that they do that. Put a boundary around people over planning. People are trying to get you out and to socialize, but that might not be what is best for you right now. And if that is not what's best for you right now, then do not do it. Do not let people force you into joining groups, societies, book clubs, whatever it may be. As well, if you've got a lot of time on your hands because you're off work and people maybe want you to babysit or fix a light switch, do some of their gardening, maybe they mean well and they're trying to keep you busy, but that is not your responsibility. So you do not have to give your labor in this time. You are your number one responsibility. The next boundary that we are going to look at is around mental boundaries. So this is to do with your thoughts, values, beliefs. People will want to know stuff about your finances, and did you have life insurance? What about your mortgage? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to move? Are you going to start dating again? Like, you are just flooded with a barrage of questions, and it's important that you protect yourself from these questions. If you have weaker boundaries, what you'll find is that you just naturally start answering these questions because you don't want to be rude. Next thing, you have given away all of your life's information. You've told way more than you wanted to, and you feel a bit resentful about it then. So it is important to set a clear boundary for yourself and the other person as to know like what is acceptable and what's just really bad etiquette to be asking you. And another type of boundary is around physical space and touch. So it can be, are you a person that likes hugs? Are you not a person that likes hugs? Is it okay for somebody to come over, or do people just arrive unexpected? Sometimes you're okay with both, and that's okay, but you need to be clear on what is okay for you. Also, if you are if you've lost your partner, sometimes, and in my experience, people do not wait a hot second before trying to make a move on you, which is completely inappropriate. Not okay. I had an incident where my neighbor sort of tricked me into coming out on a date with him. So all my neighbors were really good to me, and they invited me over to their houses for barbecues. There was like an event going on in the city, and he invited me in, and very quickly I realized that to him this was a date. I felt sick. I was so angry, so hurt. I felt so disrespected, and I felt my partner was disrespected. How dare he? So now that you are technically single, not through choice, and do not feel in any way single and are still very much in love with your other half, whatever you may experience, whether it is a physical touch, a comment, an innuendo, whatever it is, if it creeps you out and makes you feel uncomfortable, you are okay to say, hey, that's not all right, that is not okay with me, and set the boundary for that. Or remove yourself from the environment that you're in. It's all totally okay. And you need to be very strong with this one, stronger than you realize you will need to be. So I hope this helps to highlight to you what boundary violations are on 5 major categories. And if you do see them showing up in your life, it is okay to set a new boundary, to have a statement where you say, this actually isn't working for me, or this is not okay, and set a boundary around yourself as to the way people should treat you and speak to you. And that is okay. Boundaries are beautiful. They are a gift to you, and they are a gift to the people that are in your life. They are set by you and for you. Boundaries are one of the biggest forms of self-care. They are so important right now. And I hope this gives you a guideline, and that you find this useful in terms of setting limits in your life with people, recognizing where people are overstepping the mark, and how to say to them, this isn't working for me. I don't like the way you're doing that. This is the way that I need to be treated. Please do subscribe or follow me if you want to keep up to date with the latest content as it drops.